Desperate alien widow makes a bold offer to the human, not just for her kid's sake. The storm was strong. Snow covered everything. The sky was gray and the wind howled like a wild animal. Jason, a human explorer, moved slowly through the freezing wasteland. His face was red from cold. His suit's heater was starting to fail. He had lost his way 3 hours ago. He checked his scanner. Nothing but ice, no signs of life, no heat signals, just endless snow and silence. His ship was far behind, and going back meant death. Then he saw it, just a small shape in the snow, a dark spot near a rocky hill. He blinked and walked toward it. As he got closer, he saw it was an old alien hut made of stone and metal. A weak orange light glowed from inside. Jason knocked on the door. No answer. He tried again. Then, a voice, soft, scared. "Go away." He leaned in. "Please, I'm freezing. I need shelter." Silence. Then slowly the door opened a little. A pair of glowing eyes stared at him. The face was alien but beautiful. Delicate lavender skin, long silver hair, and a look full of fear. She opened the door more. Jason stepped inside. The room was small and cold. Broken furniture. Old tech. In one corner, 2 small alien children sat huddled together, holding each other tightly. They looked tired and hungry. Jason's heart ached. The woman closed the door quickly and locked it. Jason held up his hands. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just need warmth." She said nothing. Her hands were shaking. Her clothes were thin and torn. She sat near a small heating stone and pointed for him to sit too. Jason removed his gloves and sat across from her. "What's your name?" She looked down. "Zyra." He nodded. "I'm Jason." There was a long silence. The only sound was the wind outside and the soft breathing of the children. Then, Zyra spoke quietly. "You are human." "Yes. Humans don't come here anymore. I crashed. I didn't mean to." She looked at the children. Then, at him. Her eyes were tired but strong. "My children, they don't cry. They don't make noise. They are good." Jason looked at her, confused. "Okay." She hesitated, then said something that shocked him. "I can warm your bed, if that's what you want." Jason blinked. "What?" Zyra didn't move. "That is the price. That is what the others wanted." Jason felt a wave of anger and sadness. "I didn't come for that. I just needed shelter. That's all." She stared at him for a long time. Her face didn't show hope. Maybe she didn't believe him. "I'm not like them," Jason said. One of the children sneezed. Zyra quickly pulled him close and covered his mouth. Jason looked at them. "They're scared." "Yes," Zyra said. "We're all scared." Jason pulled a ration bar from his bag and gave it to her. "It's not much, but share it." Zyra took it slowly. She gave the first bite to her children, then took a small bite herself. She chewed slowly, like she hadn't eaten in days. "Why? Are you hiding here?" Jason asked. Zyra didn't answer at first. Then she spoke softly. "My mate is dead. Soldiers came, took everything. Said I was no longer needed." Jason's jaw tightened. "That's horrible," she nodded. "Widows are sold, or worse, I ran. They will come again." Jason stood and walked to the door. He checked his scanner. Still no sign of danger, but the storm was hiding signals. He knew this peace wouldn't last. "We'll need to move soon," he said. Zyra looked up at him, surprised. "We?" "I won't leave you," he said. Zyra stared at him like he was mad. "Why?" she asked. Jason gave a small smile. "Because I'm human, and humans protect the weak." Zyra didn't smile back, but her eyes softened. That night, Jason stayed awake by the door. He held his weapon and watched the shadows move outside. Zyra slept with her children, her arm wrapped around them tightly. The wind screamed outside, but inside the small shelter, something had changed. Hope had entered. Morning came, but the storm did not stop. Ice still covered the sky. The wind still screamed like ghosts. Inside the small shelter, the heater stone was dying, its glow fading slowly. Jason sat near the door, still awake. His eyes were tired, but alert. He checked the scanner again. Still no signal. No movement outside. But his gut told him something was coming. Behind him, Zyra stirred. She sat up slowly, holding one child in her lap while the other leaned against her shoulder. Her hair fell over her face, hiding the deep bruise on her cheek. Jason turned around. "You okay?" Zyra nodded slowly. "Yes. Thank you for not taking what I didn't offer." Jason looked down. "I meant what I said." As Zyra reached up to fix her hair, something caught Jason's eye, a faint glowing mark right on the side of her neck, a soft purple symbol. Strange, elegant lines shaped like a broken ring. It pulsed softly with her heartbeat. Jason's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" Zyra froze. She turned away, pulling her hair to hide the mark. "Nothing." "It's not nothing," Jason said gently. "What does it mean?" Zyra didn't speak. She looked at the floor. The children suddenly became quiet, sensing their mother's fear. Jason sat beside her. "I need to know. If we're going to survive together, I need the truth." After a long silence, Zyra whispered, "It's a claim mark." Jason blinked. "Claimed? By who?" "By the collectors," she said. "After my mate died, they came. Said I was government property now. They burned the mark into my skin. Said I was to be sent to the companion fleet." Jason's eyes widened. "That's slavery." Zyra nodded. "For widows, we become comfort for others. We are told to obey, or disappear." Jason stood up, angry. "This is insane. Why would any government allow this?" Zyra looked up at him. "Because it makes money, and because no one outside this system cares." Jason started pacing the small room. His jaw was tight. "But you escaped?" "Yes. I ran before the ship arrived, took my children. They chased me, but I found this old human station. No one uses it now. I thought we'd be safe." Jason stopped. "Wait, this was a human base?" "Yes. Long ago. Before humans left this planet." Jason's hand touched the wall. Beneath the layers of frost and dust, he felt old metal. Human tech, hidden under years of snow. He looked back at Zyra. "That mark. Do the children have it too?" Zyra's eyes filled with tears. She pulled back the shirt of the small boy sleeping in her lap. On his back, a tiny version of the same glowing symbol. Burned into his skin, Jason stared in horror. "They said I couldn't raise them, that they would train them to serve early," she whispered. "I begged, I screamed, so I ran." Jason sat down beside her, his hands trembling with anger. "I won't let them take you," he said firmly. "Any of you." Zyra gave him a strange look. "Why do you care? You don't know us. You're not even from here." Jason took a breath. "Because if I don't, then I'm no different from the ones who hurt you." She looked at him, searching his face. Then for the first time she smiled, just a little. It wasn't a full smile. It was sad and tired. But it was real. Just then, the scanner beeped softly. Jason jumped. He looked at the screen. A signal. Small. Moving. A ship. Not far. Zyra saw his face pale. "They've found us." Jason stood quickly. He loaded his weapon, checked the battery, grabbed his bag. "How many ways out of here?" he asked. "There's a tunnel under the floor," Zyra said, already grabbing her children. "It's old, but it leads to the mountains." Jason knelt beside her. "Take the kids and go. I'll stall them." "No," Zyra said. "You won't make it." "I have to try," Jason said. "Buy you time. It's our only chance." Zyra looked like she wanted to say more. But there was no time. She kissed her children's heads, then gave Jason one last look. "I never expected kindness from a human again," she said. Jason smiled. "Then let me surprise you." As Zira opened the hidden floor panel and climbed down into the dark with her kids, Jason stood by the door, weapon ready, heart pounding. The snow outside was falling slower now, but death was moving fast. Snowflakes hit the cracked window like tiny fists. The wind was howling, but Jason's mind was sharper than ever. He stood still, watching the scanner blink again and again. The ship was coming. It wasn't a large one. Probably a scout or a collector, dropper. Silent. Fast. Dangerous. Jason took one last look at the trapdoor Zira had disappeared into with her children. The panel blended with the cracked floor perfectly. He slid a broken metal table over it to cover the seams. Then, he walked toward the door and waited. A deep humming sound grew louder. The ship hovered just outside. He heard it land, softly. Then boots hit the ground. Multiple steps. Jason gripped his blaster. The door suddenly buzzed. Someone was trying to force it open. He stepped forward and pressed the release button himself. The docker slid open with a hiss, and the cold wind burst inside, filling the shelter with snow and noise. 3 figures stood outside, dressed in dark armor. Their helmets glowed faint green. One of them had a scanner in hand. Another held a rifle ready. The third, taller, heavier, and clearly in charge, stepped in. Jason didn't move. "Can I help you?" The leader's helmet clicked and retracted, revealing a gray-skinned alien woman with sharp eyes and a long vertical scar over her cheek. She narrowed her gaze. "You're human." Jason nodded. "So what?" "You shouldn't be here," she said slowly. "No humans have come to this planet in years." "I got lost," Jason said. "Ship crash. I found this shelter, been waiting out the storm." The soldier scanned the room. Her eyes moved across the broken furniture, the dying heat stone, and the old tech. "Alone?" she asked. Jason nodded. "Just me." She stepped closer. Her eyes locked onto the floor, the melted snow, the muddy tracks. Jason stayed calm. "You want to help me out or what?" Behind her, the second soldier whispered something. The leader's face shifted slightly. Then she said, "We're looking for someone. A woman. With 2 children. Dangerous fugitives. Have you seen anything strange?" Jason gave a short laugh. "This storm's the only strange thing I've seen." The third soldier walked over to the wall and ran a scanner. It beeped faintly. He frowned and turned to the leader. "Old tech, human, but recent power spikes too." Jason's mind raced. They were close to discovering the trapdoor. Before they could go further, Jason stepped between them. "Look, I've been here 2 nights. If you're looking for someone, I haven't seen them. Maybe they're dead out in the snow." The leader raised an eyebrow. "You talk fast." "I'm cold and hungry," Jason snapped. "I didn't come here for questions." Suddenly, a small sound cut through the air, a soft creak from under the floor. Jason's heart dropped. The leader turned slowly, eyeing the floorboards. She took a step forward. Jason quickly grabbed a loose metal pipe and slammed it against the heating stone. The loud clang echoed across the room. "Oops," he said with a fake smile. "Dropped it." The soldiers were tense now. The leader stepped toward Jason. "You sure you're alone?" Jason stared into her eyes. "Are you accusing me of something?" Moment passed. Silent. Sharp. Then the soldier sighed. "We'll scan the area. Don't leave the shelter." Jason nodded. "Trust me, I'm not going anywhere." They left. The door hissed shut. Jason's hands were shaking now, but he didn't show it until they were gone. He waited. 1 minute. 2. He didn't relax until he heard the ship lift off again, its hum fading into the snowstorm. Jason ran to the trapdoor and opened it. Zira was there, crouched in the cold passage below with her children pressed against her. "Are they gone?" she whispered. Jason nodded. "For now." Zira climbed out, her eyes wide. You stopped them. Why? Jason took a deep breath. Because I've seen evil before, and I couldn't stop it then. But I can now. Zira looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. They'll come back. I know. They'll scan again. Next time they'll find the tunnel. I know. Zira touched his hand gently. Then what will we do? Jason looked around the broken shelter at the scorched walls, the ancient human tech, the trapdoor, the snow outside. And then he saw something he hadn't noticed before. A door in the back, covered by debris, barely visible. He walked over and pushed the junk aside. The door had a rusted panel, a faded logo, Terran Colony Command. Jason smiled. Then we find out what's behind this. Zira stood beside him. Do you think it leads to safety? He looked at her and said, I think it leads to something better. The door behind the debris wasn't just old, it was sealed with a lock that hadn't been opened in decades. Jason wiped the dust from the control panel. The words were faded but still readable. Emergency exit, human personnel only. He pressed his hand against the sensor. For a second, nothing happened. Then, click. A green light blinked. The door opened with a low, grinding groan. Cold air rushed in from a narrow tunnel lined with frost-covered lights. Some still flickered faintly. The walls had markings from old human outposts. This place hadn't been touched in years. Zira stepped, beside Jason, holding her children close. Her eyes scanned the dark passage. You think this tunnel goes far? She asked. Jason nodded. It leads out of this zone. Maybe even to the mountains. If we keep moving, they won't find us. Zira looked at her shivering children. Then we should go now. Jason grabbed supplies. What little food he had, extra clothes and a broken heating module. He handed Zira his spare jacket. Put this on. It's designed for human worlds. Should help. She hesitated. But you'll be cold. I'll survive, he said simply. They stepped into the tunnel, sealing the door behind them. Darkness swallowed the shelter, and only the weak lights ahead guided their way. They walked for hours. The children were quiet, never once complaining. Zira moved like she was used to suffering, like pain was normal now. Jason kept checking the Y scanner. No movement. But he didn't trust it anymore. These hunters had better tech. Who were those soldiers? He asked as they walked. Collectors, Zira answered. Private agents, paid to track widows and orphans, return us to the system. Jason clenched his fists. You said they sell you? Zira nodded. Not as slaves, as companions. It's legal. In their eyes. Jason stopped walking for a second. That's disgusting. They call it mercy, Zira whispered. They say we're being given a purpose. Jason didn't reply. He looked at the children, silent, tired, still, marching forward. He felt a heat rise in his chest, hotter than any heater could give. Hours passed. Suddenly, the tunnel ended at a heavy hatch. Jason pushed it open. Blinding white light hit their eyes. They had come out on the far side of a frozen canyon. The wind was softer here, but the cold was deeper. Endless white stretched ahead, broken only by ice cliffs and sharp rock towers. Jason pulled out his scanner again, a faint blinking light. Not a ship, but an old human beacon. There's something up ahead, he said. A base, maybe. Zira looked at him. Can we make it? Jason glanced at her children, barely awake now. We have to. He lifted the youngest onto his back. Zira carried the other. They moved, step by step, across the thick snow. Halfway. Across the canyon, Jason heard it, a low hum, distant but growing louder. He turned fast. In the sky behind them, a black dot was moving through the clouds. Sleek. Fast, Zira froze. They've found us. Jason grabbed her arm. Run! They sprinted, slipping through snow, racing toward the blinking beacon ahead. The ship behind. Them grew larger, louder. Jason knew what was coming. He set the child down. Keep going. Take the children. Hide inside the base. What about you? Zyra cried. Jason pulled out his blaster. I'll slow them down. I've done it once. I'll do it again. No! Zyra shouted. They'll kill you! Jason gave her a look, strong, calm. I've been lost before. This time, I know what I'm fighting for. Zyra's lips trembled. Then she nodded, tears in her eyes. She picked up her child and ran toward the beacon. Jason turned to face the incoming ship. Snow blasted around him as the engines screamed through the air. The vessel hovered above, doors opening. 3 soldiers jumped out, weapons drawn. Jason raised his blaster. Behind him, Zyra reached the hidden entrance. The beacon wasn't just a signal, it was a door. She slammed her hand on the control panel. The ice cracked open, revealing stairs to an underground station. She looked back. Jason was surrounded. One of the soldiers raised a stun weapon. Zyra's heart stopped, but Jason moved first. He threw a flash grenade. Bright light exploded. The soldiers stumbled, blinded. Jason fired, hitting one in the leg. The others fired back. One bolt hit his shoulder. Zyra screamed, but Jason kept fighting. Finally, he dove into the snow, rolled behind a rock, and vanished from view. The ship circled again, searching. But Zyra had already pulled the children inside. The door sealed behind her, and Jason, somehow, he'd disappeared. The underground base was silent. Zyra carried her children down the narrow stairs, her arms trembling. Behind her, the door sealed shut with a cold hiss, cutting off the storm and the sound of blaster fire. She didn't know if Jason was alive, but she hoped. The passage below was long and strangely warm. Dim blue lights lit the walls, still working after all these years. It smelled of metal, dust, and something ancient. At the end of the hallway, she found a round room filled with old human technology, broken monitors, metal crates, and data screens. One screen blinked to life when she stepped in. Welcome, Terran personnel. Zyra flinched. She wasn't Terran. She wasn't even supposed to be here. But the computer didn't care. It read her biosigns, and something else. Then, a name appeared. Zyra. Kale. Record accessed. Her breath caught. No, that's not possible. A light flickered on the side wall. A hidden panel opened, revealing a small holoprojector. It buzzed weakly, then glowed blue. A video began to play. Zyra froze. The screen was herself, younger, smiling, wearing a soft blue robe. She looked peaceful. Safe. And beside her stood a man. A human. Laughing. He touched her cheek. She laughed again. It was her husband. Jason wasn't the first human to be kind to her. Years ago, before the war, before the collectors, she had loved a human. He had died protecting her from the first raid. The projector showed another scene, her wedding. A Terran officer blessed the union. Humans and aliens stood side by side, clapping and cheering. Zyra felt tears run down her cheeks. Her children stirred, confused. Mama, who's that? One whispered. That was your father, she said, softly. They had never seen him before, never heard his voice. Now they did. She sat with them, watching the old footage, her heart breaking and healing at the same time. This base wasn't just a shelter. It was their home, once. Meanwhile, far, above in the snow, Jason opened his eyes. Pain shot through his arm and chest. The stun bolt had knocked him unconscious. His side burned. But he was alive. Buried under snow and debris, he had been missed. The ship had flown off again, searching elsewhere. He forced himself to move. His scanner was broken. His arm was half frozen. But he remembered the beacon's location. He pushed through the snow, step by step, until he found the metal hatch. It was closed. He pounded on it. Nothing. He pounded again. Then, slowly it opened. Zyra stood inside, eyes wide with shock. "You're alive." Jason collapsed into her arms. Hours later, Jason sat wrapped in an old heat blanket. Zyra cleaned his wounds while the children slept in one of the empty rooms nearby. "You should have run," Zyra whispered. Jason looked at her. "I told you. Don't leave people behind." She stared at him a long time. Then she stood and walked to the holo projector. She pressed a button. The video of her and her husband began to play again. Jason watched quietly. "His name was Ellis," she said. "He was kind, funny, brave, like you." Jason didn't speak. "I never thought I'd feel safe again after he died," she whispered. "Then you showed up." She turned to face him. "You make me feel it again, that safety, that fire." Jason looked into her glowing eyes. He didn't know what to say. "I'm not asking for anything," she said. "I just want you to know, if you ever leave, I will understand. But you gave me a part of my soul back." Jason stood even though his body hurt. He stepped closer. "I'm not going anywhere," he said softly. The base lights dimmed as night passed above them. But inside that cave of memory, something new began, not just survival. Hope, a broken widow and a wounded human, two children who had never known peace, and an old forgotten base that still remembered love. Together they would rebuild, if only for one more day of freedom. But outside, in the snow and the stars, dark eyes were watching. The collectors weren't. Finished, they would return, and next time, they would bring fire. The base lights flickered as power dropped lower. Jason stood near a console, trying to fix the broken scanner with trembling fingers. His wounds still ached, but his mind stayed sharp. Zyra brought him a small bowl of warmed rations. "You need rest." "I need a working scanner," he muttered. "If the collectors come back, we have to know before they land on top of us." Zyra didn't argue. She sat beside him, placing her hand on his. He paused, looking at her face. Tired, pale, but still strong. "They won't stop," she said quietly. "They want me, the children. The mark proves it." Jason didn't look away. "Then we give them something else to think about." She blinked. "What?" Jason pulled out a broken radio unit. "I'm going to contact a human patrol ship. There are still some that patrol the outer zones. If one's nearby, maybe they'll help." Zyra frowned. Why would they care? This planet isn't in their control anymore. "They may not care about the planet," Jason said slowly. "But if I tell them a Terran citizen is under attack, they might listen." Zyra stared. "You?" Jason nodded. "They don't know me. They don't know I crashed. I can lie. Say I'm on a mission, that I found a criminal group targeting human tech." Zyra looked away. "So you'll use me to save me?" Jason sighed. "It's not a trick. It's a gamble. I can lie to get them here. Once they see what's happening, maybe they'll step in." She didn't answer. Jason placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I can't fight them alone, but I can call someone bigger than them." Hours later, the signal was sent. A human patrol ship answered. The captain's voice was strict, robotic. "Identify yourself." Jason gave a fake ID and said he was from a crash recovery unit. He reported collector activity near an old Terran base, possible threats to humans. "Your transmission is weak. Do you require extraction?" Jason hesitated. "Yes, but not just for me." The voice went cold. "Only Terran citizens may board. All others require authorization." Jason clenched his teeth. "Understood." The call ended. He turned to Zyra. "They're coming, but only for me." Zyra's face didn't change. She already knew what that meant. "I'll tell them you're wounded, that you need help," Jason said. "They may let you on, at least temporarily." She shook her head. If they scan me, they'll see the mark. And the children, too. Jason looked away. Zira stood slowly and picked up a small bag, her few belongings. She placed it on the table. Then she did something that shocked him. She knelt in front of him. "I won't beg," she said, "but if I must, I will. Zira." She looked up. Her voice was calm but full of pain. "I can clean. I can cook. My children are silent. I will share your bed if you want. Just don't leave us here." Jason stepped back. "Don't say that." "What else is there to say?" she whispered. "No one wants widows. No one wants children born from human and alien blood." Jason dropped to his knees in front of her. He gently lifted her chin. "You offered yourself once and I said no. Not because I didn't want you, but because you're not a bargain. Zira, you're a person." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm tired," she said. "I just want a place where no one owns me." Jason nodded. "Then we fight for that place, together." The patrol ship landed the next morning, clean, white, shining like a ghost from a better time. Jason stood outside, supporting himself on one leg. The storm had cleared. The sun reflected off the snow, bright and silent. The human soldiers stepped out. Their faces were hidden by visors. They scanned Jason first, confirmed his ID. "Welcome aboard, Agent Wren," one said. "You are authorized for extraction." Jason nodded. "I'm bringing passengers." The soldier looked at the small figures behind Jason, Zira and her children. "Non-Terrans," he said. "No orders to extract them." Jason didn't move. "Then I don't board." The soldiers looked at each other. One spoke quietly into a comm. After a long pause, the commander stepped forward. "You're refusing safety for them?" "Yes," Jason said. The commander studied Zira. Her mark glowed faintly. The children stood still, quiet, their eyes wide. "Unusual behavior," the commander said. "Most humans don't make choices like this." Jason smiled. "Then I guess I'm not like most." A pause. Then the commander turned away. "Very well, you all come, but they will be scanned. Any threat and they're offloaded." Zira stared at Jason in disbelief. "You lied," she whispered. "No," Jason said. "I chose." They stepped onto the ship, together, for the first time in years. Zira walked into light that didn't hurt her. Her children followed, eyes full of wonder. And Jason? He didn't know what would happen next. But he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving them behind. Not now, not ever. The human patrol ship soared above the clouds, silent and smooth, leaving the frozen wasteland far behind. Inside, the air was warm, clean, and strange. Zira had never seen such white walls, glowing panels, or soft chairs. Her children sat beside her, wrapped in new thermal blankets, eyes wide in wonder. She didn't speak. She couldn't. Her heart was too full. Jason sat across from her, silent too, his shoulder freshly bandaged. He looked tired, but not afraid. For the first time since they met, his weapon was at his side, unused. Then a voice came through the overhead speaker. "Final scan results complete. No threat detected. Non-Terran guests cleared for temporary protection status." Zira looked. "What does that mean?" Jason smiled weakly. "It means you're safe. At least, for now." She looked down at her children, then at Jason. "Why did you do it?" she asked softly. "You could have left. They would have never questioned you." Jason leaned forward. His voice was quiet, steady. "Because I've seen people look the other way. I've done it too. Once. And it still haunts me." Zira watched him closely. "I told myself," he continued, "if I ever got the chance to stand between someone and the kind of cruelty I once ignored, I'd do it, no matter the risk." Her voice cracked. "And now?" Jason's eyes met hers. "Now, I've made my choice. I chose you." Zira's lips trembled. He reached out and gently took her hand. I didn't do it because you offered yourself, he said. I did it because you didn't give up. Not on your kids. Not on yourself. You kept going. She looked at him, silent, tears slipping down her cheeks. And you still didn't believe you were worth saving, he added. That broke me. Zira leaned forward, forehead resting against his. Her voice was almost a whisper. I'm tired of being owned, but I would choose to belong with you. Jason smiled. Then don't offer yourself ever again. Just walk beside me. She nodded slowly, still holding his hand. The next day, the ship docked at a Terran outpost, an orbital station high above a red gas giant. Clean air, no collectors, no cold. Jason stood at the edge of the observation window, watching Zira's children play in the waiting room. One of the medics had given them toy drones, and their laughter now echoed softly through the hallway. Zira joined, him dressed in fresh clothes, her hair clean, skin no longer pale. You look, Jason hesitated. Different. Like someone who's not running anymore, she said. A human officer approached them. Agent Wren, your ID was flagged. Central Command wants an explanation. Jason sighed. Expected that. The officer looked at Zira. And the alien widow? Jason stepped forward. She's under my protection. The officer raised a brow. Your responsibility, your risk. Jason nodded. Good. Zira touched his arm. You don't have to carry all this for me. He turned to her. I'm not carrying it alone. We're in this together now. Weeks passed. Zira and her children were given protected refugee status thanks to Jason's testimony. The branding on her neck was recorded as evidence of war crimes. An investigation was opened. The collectors denied everything. But Jason didn't stop. He sent reports, gathered footage from the base, shared everything, especially the hollow recordings showing Zira's marriage to a human years ago. Proof of peace that once existed. Proof that someone broke it. The galaxy watched. The case reached the Terran courts, and for the first time in years, stories like Zira's began to spread. She wasn't alone anymore. One evening, Zira stood on the balcony of the outpost housing complex, holding a warm drink, watching the stars swirl slowly outside. Jason joined her, arms crossed. They offered me a job, investigations unit. She smiled. Will you take it? Maybe. Depends. On what? He looked at her. On where you're going. Zira stepped closer. Wherever my children are safe. Jason nodded. Then that's where I'm going too. She turned, leaned her head on his shoulder. You know, I never believed in soul bonding. My people speak of it like magic. Jason looked at her. And now? She smiled. Now I believe in choices. You didn't belong to me. You chose me. That means more. Jason kissed the top of her head. I don't need magic either. I just need this. A human. A widow. 2 half-blood children. Not a family anyone expected. But one the stars would remember, because sometimes the strongest bond is not blood or law or even fate. It's the simple truth. He chose her.